الأحزاب السياسية. أنا دارين انتخابات ده ودارين توحيد بتاع الصفوف بتاعنا خلف الأحزاب دي كلها، توحيد الصفوف بتاعه عشان نعمل انتخابات. لكن إذا أحزاب ده هي كلها ما متفقة مع بعض ما بكون في أي انتخابات. يعني إحنا جنوب السودان ده بنكون عايشين في دوامة بتاعت حرب بدون انتخابات. إحنا ما عندنا استقرار. حكومة بتاع الانتقالية ده ليلتين، لأنه هسه أنا قاعدين نشوف مشاكل في كل محلات في جنوب السودان. فأنا لازم دارين حل واحد، دارين الأحزاب دي كلها تتوحد ونشوف شنو، نشوف الانتخابات في 2026. انتخابات ده بتطلعنا إلى برا الأمان. بعد ده بدنا نشوف، بعد ما عملنا انتخابات بعد ده نبني نعمل تسجيل بتاع الأحزاب ده، لأنه أعضاء ذاته كثير في برلمان. ده حاجة لازم أن احنا نمشي في انتخابات عشان نشوف الحاجة اللي هنعمل شنو.
Sounds of the Week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, good afternoon. This is iRadio News at 1. First, here are the headlines. Vice President Josephine Laguyanga has chaired a service delivery cluster meeting aimed at improving employment opportunities, public service performance and education system in the country. The Central Equatorial State Ministry of Environment has announced plans to establish a waste management corporation to improve the collection, recycling and disposal of waste in Juba. And the Directorate of Civil Registry, Passport, Immigration and Nationality has announced plans to extend the validity period of South Sudan's passport from 5 years to 10 years. These stories and more coming to you in this news bulletin with me, Diko, the Andrew. Now the news in details. Vice President Josephine Lagu has chaired a service delivery cluster meeting aimed at improving employment opportunities, public service performance and education system in the country. The meeting brought together senior officials from the ministries responsible for labor, public service, general education and higher education to review the ongoing reform and policy proposals. During the meeting, officials discussed measures to manage labor migration, including plans to improve tracking of workforce skills, regulate work permits, and protect the rights of both employers and employee. The proposals are part of the efforts to address the youth unemployment and improve labor administration. Participants also reviewed plans to strengthen training and capacity building in the public service through better coordination of civil service training programs at both national and state level. Following the discussions, the meeting agreed that the proposed labor and public service policies should be submitted to the Council of Ministers for further consideration. The cluster also received updates from the education sector, confirming that the 2026 school calendar will officially begin on 2nd February, while results for the primary 8 national examination are expected within the next 5 weeks. In addition, the Vice President was briefed on progress in biometric registration across selected government institutions, as well as the outcomes of the recent official visit to South Korea that secured medical and education supplies for the country. Vice President Lagu urged ministers to continue working together to ensure reforms to lead improved service delivery to the citizen of South Sudan. The Central Equatorial State Ministry of Environment has announced plans to establish a waste management corporation to improve the collection, recycling and disposal of waste in Juba. The proposal was presented during a state cabinet meeting chaired by Governor Emmanuel Adil Anthony on Thursday, and the State Minister of Agriculture, Environment and Forestry, Lili, tabled a memo seeking establishment of the Juba City Council Cleaning and Beautification Corporation. The proposed corporation will be reasonable for improving sanitation and environmental management in the state capital. According to the memo, the body aims to ensure systematic waste collection, recycling and disposal while promoting environmental compliance to protect public health. However, State Minister of Peace Building, Jacob Aligo, said the cabinet unanimously agreed to defer the memo for further discussion by the state economic cluster, and he happened to be saying this.
The other memo was submitted by the Minister of Agriculture, Environment and Forestry, seeking for establishment of Central Equatorial State Waste Management Corporation. Having deliberated on the memo, the Council of Ministers resolved to defer the memo back to the economic cluster to incorporate the views and ideas of other relevant stakeholders, and the minister has to submit the memo back to the Council of Ministers in the coming days for final discussion.
He said the memo is resubmitted to the Council of Ministers after incorporation recommendation from relevant stakeholders. You're still listening to iReady News at 1. Elsewhere, the Directorate of Civil Registry, Passports, Immigration and Nationality has announced plans to extend the validity period of South Sudan's passport from 5 years to 10 years. Major General Ilya Costa, the Director of Immigration and Passport, disclosed the proposal in an exclusive interview with iRadio, saying the move is intended to align South Sudan's passport system with a global best practice. He said many countries have shifted from 5-year to 10-year passport validity periods. General Costa confirmed that a memorandum has already been prepared and submitted to higher authorities, beginning with the Office of the General Secretary. According to him, the proposal will then be forwarded to the Minister of Interior, who is expected to present it to the Council of Ministers for consideration.
برنامج كده نحن عارفين هسه كل العالم ذاته عدى الجوازات بتاعه من 5 سنة ل 10 سنة، فنحن شغالين بنعمل مذكرة نرفع للسلطات الفوق اللي هو مكتب بتاع المفتش العام، بعدين برفع للوزير، بعد الوزير ممكن يقدمها في مجلس الوزراء للموافقة هناك بتعديل بتاع الفترة الزمنية من 5 سنة ل 10 سنة، فاحتمال يمشي لحد أسامبل عشان مكتوب في قانون عنه فترة بتاع الجواز 5 سنة، فالتعديل طبعا يمكن يتم عن طريق بتاع التعديل.
However, General Costa noted that the current 5-year passport validity period is provided for by law, meaning the proposal might require approval by the National Assembly. Authorities in Tonj, South County of Warrap State, have arrested 5 suspects and recovered 2 rifles and 57 golds following a raid targeting the Umbororo community. The Umbororo are a nomadic community from Sudan and the Central African Republic who migrate to parts of South Sudan in search for pasture for their cattle. Tonj South County Commissioner John said the arrest followed an attack by armed men and members of the Umbororo community on Wednesday in Lochog village in Wolchok, Payam. Commissioner said the attackers escaped with 57 goats, 1 million South Sudanese pound, 2 AK-47, 2 blankets and 2 bags. He says security forces were immediately deployed and conducted intensive patrols in the area and nearby, leading to the interception and arrest of the suspect. The commissioner urged parents to get their children away from violence and criminal activities, warning that such acts threaten peace and coexistence in the country. According to him, the 5 suspects were being held in the police custody pending legal proceedings, while their recovered items have been handed back to the chief, Hamed Khalif, and the Mbororo community. The Public Financial Management Oversight Committee has restated the commitment to improving economic reforms during a meeting held in Juba on Wednesday. The 96th sitting, chaired by the Minister of Finance and Planning, Dr. Bag Barnaba Chol, reviewed the updates on the country revenue performance. Members received briefing from the Minister of Petroleum on the crude oil production and sales, while the Commissioner General of the National Revenue Authority, William Anyon Kwol, presented a report on non-oil revenue collection for the first and second quarter of the 2025-2026 financial year. The meeting also marked the first formal participation of several newly appointed ministers. These include the Minister of Public Service and Human Resource Development, Labour, Federal Affairs, and Gender, Child and Social Welfare, who were officially welcomed to the committee. Dr. Bach congratulated the new members to reiterate the government commitment to facial discipline and economic reform measures. During the session, the Minister of Labour, Anthony Lino McKenna, was appointed Secretary of the Oversight Committee, replacing Jamie Hoth, who has served in the position since the committee was formed. Addressing the meeting, the United Kingdom Ambassador to South Sudan and co-chair of the Oversight Committee, David Ashley, stressed the need to prioritize domestic revenue to support external service, particularly health and education. He said declining global aid flow have created fund gaps in several key sectors, making efficient use of the national resources increasingly important. And lastly, the IGAD Climate Center has forecast heavy rainfall in South Sudan and several other countries in the region between March and May. According to the seasonal outlook, South Sudan has 45% chance of receiving above average rainfall in the most part of the country, while the eastern and western region faces a 40% probability of the near normal rainfall. The IGAD Climate Prediction and Application Center, also known as ICPAC, says some localized areas of South Sudan, Ethiopia, and Somalia may also experience a delay onset of the rainy season. Elsewhere in the region, near normal rainfall is expected in the northeastern and southwestern Kenya, most of Somalia, coastal Tanzania, and isolated area of Uganda and Ethiopia. At the same time, wetter than normal condition on the forecast for parts of Uganda, Kenya, Burundi, Ethiopia, northern Somalia, and Djibouti. However, the caution that dry spells may still occur even in areas predicted to receive a near normal or above normal rainfall. The Climate Center also warned that irregular dry periods are possible in region forecast to experience near normal or below normal rainfall. With that being, we came to an end with the local news. We go and listen to my colleague Jamie Satem with the international news and the regional ones.
Thank you, Diko Diandro. Beginning in the region, suspected jihadists have launched an attack on the international airport outside Niger's capital, Niamey. Niger's defense ministry said 4 military personnel were injured and 20 attackers were killed, with the state television saying that a French national was among them. There were 11 arrests over the attack at Diori Hamani International Airport overnight from Wednesday to Thursday, in which sustained heavy gunfire and loud explosions were heard nearby. Elsewhere, a couple in Indonesia has been caned 140 times for having sex outside marriage and drinking alcohol because it violates Sharia or Islamic religious law. The 21-year-old woman fainted after what authorities said was a record number of strokes to be meted out in a public caning session in the Aceh province. 3 female officers took turns striking her with a rattan cane while she cried. After she collapsed, she was carried off the stage by female officers to an ambulance. And finally, Donald Trump said it was very dangerous for the UK to do business with China as Prime Minister Keir Starmer arrived in Shanghai on the 3rd day of his visit to the country. The US president was reacting to agreements aimed at increasing business and investment between the UK and China, announced after Keir met Chinese President Xi Jinping. Speaking at the premiere of a documentary about his wife Melania on Thursday, Trump went on to refer to Xi as a friend of his and said he knew the Chinese president very well. UK Business Minister Chris Bryan said Trump was wrong and it would be bonkers, frankly, for the UK to ignore the presence of China on the world stage. That's all in the regional and international news with me, James Satem. Now back to you, Diko Diandro in the studio.
Thank you so much, James Satem. Up next, the news of sport with Darlington Moses.
Thank you so much, Diko Andrew on Sport Table today, starting with home news. South Sudan Premier League updates as Week 15 has been wrapped up yesterday. Qatar Juba was held to a goalless draw by Bantu City in a match played as part of Week 15 of the South Sudan Premier League. The game saw Qatar Juba reduced to 10 men in the second half after one of their players was sent off, but the scoreline remained unchanged until the final whistle. Following the draw, Qatar Juba moved up to 33 points, maintaining a place on the league table. In today's fixtures, Jamus, who are aiming to close up the gap on the leading teams, face Al Malia in an important encounter. On Sunday, league leaders Al Merrikh will take on Olympic rank in the highly anticipated match. In the CAF Champions League update group stage, Mamelodi Sundowns of South Africa will be looking to break the deadlock with Al Hilal of Sudan when the two sides meet today in Rwanda at Hilal's home venue. The first leg was played in South Africa, ended in a 2-2 draw, leaving both teams level up on 5 points in the group standings. Meanwhile, Al Ahly of Egypt will aim to confirm their qualification to the knockout stage when they face Young Africans of Tanzania tomorrow in Dar es Salaam. The first leg in Cairo ended with a 2-0 victory for Al Ahly of Egypt. Young Africans will be pushing for a win to secure second place and qualify alongside Al Ahly, depending on results elsewhere in the group. And finally, Dallas Mavericks Cooper Flack became the first teenager to score 49 points in an NBA game as they lost 123 to 121 against the Charlotte Hornets at American Airlines Center. The 19-year-old beat Clifford Robinson's previous record of 45 points in 1980 when playing for the New Jersey Nets against the Detroit Pistons. Flack, making his 43rd appearances of the season, also became the youngest player to score at least 40 points and 10 rebounds. The Hornets' Con Newpel, who was also roommates with Flack at Duke University, also posted impressive numbers. The 20-year-old scored a career-high 34 points and was successful with 8 of his 12 three-pointer attempts, setting a rookie record for Charlotte. This is all in the world of sport, and back to you, Diko Andrew.
Thank you so much, Darlington Moses. With that being, we come to an end with our 1 o'clock news. But first, the headlines. Vice President Josephine Lagu Yanga has chaired a service delivery cluster meeting aimed at improving employment opportunities, public service performance, and education system in the country. The Central Equatorial State Ministry of Environment has announced plans to establish a waste management corporation to improve the collection, recycling, and disposal of waste in Juba. And the Directorate of Civil Registry, Passport, Immigration and Nationality has announced plans to extend the validity period of South Sudan passport from 5 years to 10 years. That's marked the end of iReady News today. If there is a story or an event you'd like iReady to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba. And not to forget as well, follow us on Facebook. That will be iRadio. Not to forget, our website is www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news of Arabic at 1:30. I was Diko Andrew. Thank you for listening.